Alright, so this is the last video for this chapter. As I promised, it will be on biotechnology and IP, and the IP that we're going to discuss the most is actually on patent. So we know that biotechnology has increased in importance with application in wide sectors. Well, we have seen that it could be used in medical, in food industries, and so forth. So World Intellectual Property Organization has divided invention of biotechnology into three, which is processes in creating or modifying living organism and biological material. Secondly, the end products of the processes, and third, the use of the end products or the results. So the commonly used protection is patent, like I said earlier on, and they are bound by the TRIPS or trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights. Generally said, natural products could not be patented, simply. Okay? So bear that in mind. As biotechnology inventions usually involve genetic resources, before patenting, you need to make sure that you check all these four elements. First, identify novel sequences if there is any. Second, specify the product. Third, specify the functions of the product. And fourth, the product can be used or serve its purpose. Don't just say that it could be do this, do that, but in the end it could. So patentable material include these elements: genes and gene fragments. They could be either full sequence with functions. How the product functions specifically in nature should also be stated and have to overcome patent stacking. So what we meant by patent stacking is that when you are searching for something for it to be filed, and you found that there is the same gene number, or sorry, not the gene number, gene sequences or gene name. So they basically have to check thoroughly, okay, if it has a similar sequence, does it have or will it have the same function? If it has the same function, how can the product function specifically in nature? Probably it has a different one. So if there is a variety or a different variation over here, then it could be registered. If not, it couldn't be. Okay, so that is in terms of patent stacking. Secondly, gene tests. So the tests that they are now developing, especially for COVID-19 test kit and whatnot, those could be patented. They could get a lot of money of it. So tests for screening diseases, for example, and it could only be licensed to entities that can conduct the test. So royalties to holder each time a test is administered is applied. Can you imagine how much money you could be making? Third element, proteins. So enzymes and certain structures, especially its 3D and 2D, could be patented. And this is usually applies to drug design and pharmaceutical field. Number 4, stem cells. Very interesting, right? So we have basically learned about stem cells in transgenic animal and also eugenics. So embryonic stem cells for study and disease treatment, some of them could be patented. So patents from stem cells can be issued and you could get royalties out of it. And number 5, the last one, SNP. We call it as SNPs, single nucleotide polymorphisms. So if you remember polymorphisms, anyone? Polymorphism means more or less mutation or variation. So usually SNPs doesn't really have an effect on cell function, but it could influence response to a drug, and usually it could more or less have an influence on protein. So it is used to identify multiple genes associated with complex diseases. Could also be a form of a marker as well. Alright? Now, via patent, inventions are protected without secrecy because everyone knows it has been patented. You could even search it and see how it is being done. So through the protection provided, the public are informed of product safety, environmental implications, efficacy, and unfair competition. So patents provide positive action as transfer of technology is possible while still preserving the exclusive rights of the owner. For example, did you guys know of the patch that is used to relieve muscle ache and whatnot? Okay, such as salon pads and so forth. So those are quite common, right? A lot of companies have done that. They have even patented. So the process is more or less similar. It's just that the ingredients that are different, the active ingredients that they use, okay, the modifier and so forth. So those are known. If you want to know the information, you can just Google it up. Okay, so you can actually get the patent material. Just make sure that you understand what is being said there. Alright? So most countries practice first to invent, of course, principle, where first invention is provided property rights for 20 years. So if a patent involves alteration of a natural product, this is a bit tedious. A sample is required as a deposit and could be deposited into any one of the 26 worldwide culture depositories. So the nearest to us is actually in Japan. As patent application is confidential until it is issued, using the sequence in public databases might cause a problem if the sequence has been patented. So usually they don't upload it as yet. We actually have done that. So benefit of patenting in biotechnology is as such, discoveries are of course rewarded. It would prohibit competitors from using inventions without permission or license because there are some people who just want to take a shortcut. Eliminate the application process so that we do not want to do the same thing twice. Exploration of new areas so that people have ventured into that, so you venture into something else, and ensure access to new invention. So disadvantage, of course, there are some. Increasing cost of invention, discouraging product development, especially for those who are probably not so creative or less manpower. Inappropriate reward of patent. This usually always applies, especially if there are disputes among group members even. And of course, the last one, it couldn't be basically outdone with monopoly of certain inventions by companies, especially in the pharmaceutical companies, whereby when they come up with drugs and whatnot, so usually there is a monopoly there. And these are some of the unpatented material or resource or process, and you have to bear in mind that nothing could change to this. Life forms, including plants and animals, could be patented. New organisms could be patented, even though they probably have got a lot of new organisms from the northern hemisphere early on. Human clothing, germline modification. Human embryos for commercialization. Biological processes, none of them could be patented. And the last one, nuclear weapons. If you by chance discover something and you want to make it as a weapon, or either bioweapon or nuclear weapon, it couldn't be patented, definitely. So I think I'll just leave you guys with this. If you have any questions, do drop any comment or your question underneath the video. I will open up questions kind of like forum in e-learning, and you could just ask me anything there. So that is all about intellectual property. Actually, there are a whole lot more, but I don't think 1 week or even 2 weeks is enough. So I'm just teaching you guys basics, but do know that the IP is actually important in every kind of work or sectors that you are going to be in later on. Okay, so that's it for today and this week. So next week we will move on to the last chapter.